In the haunting aftermath of August 6, 1945, amidst the unimaginable devastation in Hiroshima, rescuers and survivors began to notice eerie, permanent silhouettes etched onto the city's surfaces. These were the nuclear shadows, dark imprints left on stone, concrete, and wood where people and objects had once stood. They appeared as stark, human-shaped outlines on the steps of a bank, a person frozen in time, holding a walking stick. Elsewhere, the pattern of a ladder was seared onto the side of a building. These ghostly figures were not supernatural omens, but the direct and chilling result of intense thermal radiation. The atomic bomb detonated approximately 600 meters above the city, instantly releasing a cataclysmic wave of energy. This energy included a pulse of thermal radiation, an incredibly intense form of light and heat that traveled outwards at the speed of light. This thermal flash was so powerful that it bleached the surfaces it struck, much like intense sunlight can fade a colored fabric over many years, but compressed into a fraction of a second. The surfaces, such as stone steps and building walls, were lightened almost instantly by the blast's heat. However, if an object or a person was in the path of this thermal radiation, they absorbed the energy. Their bodies effectively shielded the surface directly behind them from the intense light and heat. The area they covered was protected from the bleaching effect. The surrounding, exposed surfaces were lightened, while the ground or wall beneath the person or object remained its original, darker color. The result was a stark, high-contrast shadow. It wasn't a shadow in the conventional sense, like one cast by the sun, but rather a permanent record of what was shielded from the blast's thermal rays. It was a photogram of sorts, burned into the very fabric of the city. The physics is precise and unforgiving. The intensity of the thermal radiation decreased with distance from the hypocenter. The clearest and most defined shadows were found within about a kilometer of the blast's center, where the heat was most extreme. Further out, the effect was less pronounced. The shadows tell a story of position and proximity. Their sharpness and clarity are a direct measure of how close the person or object was to the initial fireball. Behind these scientific principles lie deeply personal and tragic human stories. Each shadow represents a life, a moment frozen in the final second of peace. One of the most famous and poignant shadows was that of a person sitting on the stone steps of the Sumitomo Bank, less than 300 meters from the hypocenter. It is believed they were waiting for the bank to open when the bomb detonated. The intense heat instantly incinerated the individual, leaving only their dark silhouette on the bleached granite steps as a final, silent testament. This particular shadow, often called the human shadow of death, became a powerful symbol of the human cost of the atomic bomb. For decades, it remained a stark reminder on the bank steps, visited by many who came to pay their respects and reflect on the tragedy. The steps themselves were eventually removed and preserved in the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum, safeguarding this somber piece of history. The shadow is a direct link to a person whose identity is lost to history, but whose final moment is permanently recorded. Other shadows told similar tales. There was the shadow of a person pulling a two-wheeled cart, another of a worker climbing a ladder, their forms forever imprinted onto the walls they were working on. These weren't just patterns, they were the last physical evidence of ordinary people going about their morning routines. They were fathers, mothers, and children whose lives were extinguished in an instant. The shadow of a gate post, the outline of a valve handle on a gas tank, each one points to the immense, destructive power that was unleashed. These imprints are a testament to the sheer scale of the energy. To bleach stone and pavement requires temperatures estimated to be between 3,000 and 4,000 degrees Celsius on the surface. It was this incredible heat that caused the shadows to form. The individuals who cast these shadows were subjected to this same unbearable heat. Their existence was reduced to a silhouette, a permanent marker of their absence. It is a profoundly disturbing concept, one that forces us to confront the raw reality of nuclear weapons. Over the decades, weathering from wind, rain, and the footfalls of a rebuilt city have caused most of these shadows to fade. The stark imprints that were so clear in the days following the bombing have slowly disappeared, blending back into the surfaces they were burned upon. This natural fading makes their preservation in museums and photographs all the more critical. They serve as a crucial educational tool, a tangible piece of evidence that conveys the horror in a way that statistics and numbers alone cannot. They force us to move beyond abstract discussions of geopolitics and weaponry and focus on the individual, human impact. The shadow on the steps wasn't just a physical phenomenon, it was a person waiting for a bank to open. The story of the nuclear shadows is a powerful fusion of physics and human tragedy. It illustrates a fundamental scientific principle, thermal radiation and shielding, while simultaneously telling one of the most heartbreaking stories of the 20th century. It reminds us that the principles of science, when applied to warfare, can have consequences that are almost too immense to comprehend. The Shadows are a silent, enduring lecture on the power of the atom and the fragility of human life. They are a solemn call to memory, urging us to never forget the people who once stood where only their outlines remain. They compel us to work towards a future where no such shadows are ever created again. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of history. For more stories that reveal the past, be sure to follow Historical Repo.